Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, Bruce. How are you doing?
Well, other than day 4 of the COVID, I'm getting by. I sure could have used a win to lift my spirits. That was a good hockey game against a really, really good team. Man, do those guys ever win a lot of puck battles and get their sticks in a lot of lanes, eh?
You know, it's funny. Their sweaters are red and white, and they kind of reminded me of the Russian hockey teams of the past.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of smaller players and a lot of really highly skilled players who can really pass that puck. Not an overly physical team, but a very smart passing team. So the Oilers lost in overtime 3-2 to the Carolina Hurricanes. Bruce, frustrating loss in many ways. The grade A shots in the game were 19 each. Both teams had 19 grade A shots. Carolina had slightly more of the most dangerous of all 5 alarm shots, 11 for Carolina, 9 for the Oilers. So Carolina had a slight edge according to our preliminary work on the run of play. I say preliminary because you still go over all of this. You're through the first period and a half, I think.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I went out to look at the Comet during the second period.
Oh, there you go. Can't blame you for that, man.
Well, it's not only comes around once in our lifetimes, anyway. So.
Which Comet was it?
On its way out, it's Comet Chuchinchan Atlas.
Cool.
It's discovered by somebody in China with a unusual name.
Is Atlas part of their name?
Atlas is the second discoverer, which is an actual robot spacecraft, which is who usually finds comets these days. It's all caps Atlas.
And that's who usually finds it. It's all the glory goes to the machines now.
Oftentimes, yeah. Relatively few comets are discovered by humans anymore. The auto searches get most of them.
Probably
it's the way of the world, and it's the way of the solar system.
Yes, the machines, rise of the machines. All right, Bruce. The Oilers were not exactly a machine tonight. They did have some good moments. So this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. We'll start with your good thing.
Yeah, I'm going to pick out one sequence in the first period. It was from Evan Bouchard, and it grabbed my eye for possibly the same reasons that maybe people didn't notice it. But Bouchard played the kind of defense that Evan Bouchard plays that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. He didn't block any shots. He didn't have any takeaways. He didn't have, all he did was thwart 4 in a row plays in the Oilers defensive zone on one shift. There was, first of all, your typical Carolina long headman pass, and it wasn't quite an odd man rush, but it was like the guy was crossing the blue line on one side and the winger was busting on the other side, and no Oiler really had coverage. And Bouchard was able to stand up the guy with the puck, get his stick in there, and then actually take the puck off of him and chip it to Nugent Hopkins, who got it out of the zone, but he didn't get very far out. Came right back into the zone. And second time around, Carolina, again, like they had kind of an advantageous situation. They had a guy passing from be below the face-off circle, like below the icing line, at the side of the net, right to somebody that was on the far post in the low slot, and Bouchard was able to read it, get his stick in there, and deflect the pass away from that guy and out of danger and into the corner. And again, they got it out to the neutral zone, but no further. And the third time around, Carolina had a fellow who looked like he had room to come around from behind the net and make a wraparound shot on net. And again, Bouchard came over and got that long, educated stick of his right in the right spot to just strip the puck away before it ever even reached the goal line, where a guy could take a direct shot on net. And then finally the puck came over to the player along the boards, Jordan Martinook, and he was actually credited with a shot on net, but as I saw it, it never got to the net because Bouchard deflected it again at the source. And it was like 9:20, 9:10, 8:55, 8:48 of the first period. If you've got the game on video, watch that shift and watch all the things that Bouchard does, and none of them even show. Like on the play-by-play, there's literally no events for a minute, and yet Carolina's had sort of three different thrusts, at least that the first three potentially could have been something with a less good defenseman out there shutting him down. And all I say is watch for those kind of plays from Evan Bouchard, right? He's not necessarily the guy that's going to lay someone out with a big hit, but his stick is his weapon, and it's not just in the offensive zone. He's got an extremely good stick, and it doesn't have to have the puck on it to make good, coordinated skill plays. And he basically made, I would say, 3 in a row there, and the fourth one was a little more nondescript.
His stick is long, and it has very little flex in it. I think he plays with a 105.
Oh, yeah.
Which, if hockey players know, the flex numbers. So like a kid's or loosey-goosey stick isn't like 50, 45, very flex. A lot of adult males use forwards like 65, 75,
They're like
80.
whippy sticks, right?
Well, 65 to 75. I'm a defenseman. I use an 85. I can't imagine 105, how rigid and unflexible that stick is from Bouchard, but it's a good stick for hammering that puck hard. He uses it as a club, and it's a good stick for defending well. It's just
well, in this particular sequence, he used it as a scalpel, and he committed surgery on the Carolina attack on that whole. What for them was a continuous pressure, but they couldn't get the puck to the net because the same guy kept thwarting them. So I saw that shift really good, and I watched it 2 or 3 times. And yeah, that's worth calling out. It's like I say, it's not the sort of thing that you're going to find in the game summary or even the play-by-play. It's just sort of eyeball.
I like him as a defender now more and more, although he did have a few bad moments, a few wicked turnovers in his own
that's
zone.
Always probably going to be an issue.
Well, there was a debate in my old timers hockey dressing room when I was defending Bouchard. One of the guys he says Bouchard's number should be -2, which is a pretty good line.
That's pretty harsh though.
But I think Bouchard's come a long way.
Defenseman.
Yeah, he's come a long way as a defenseman, as a defender. Both his attacking and his defending have come a long way. I think he's really getting pretty good at reading the play and being a sound positional defender. It's not perfect by any means, but he has become I'm going to say an above average defender against tough competition. And I know most people won't agree with me on that, but that's what I see. That's what our numbers tell us, Bruce. Like, he's a drastic reduction.
What all the numbers say.
Drastic reduction in his mistakes on grade A shots against in the playoffs last year against the toughest competition. He was a good defenseman against tough competition. Still finding his game like a lot of the Oilers are. Bruce, my good thing is McDavid's offensive aggression tonight, and there was just a really good moment if you're an Oilers fan and you have some concerns about this season on his first goal. In his season, Bruce, what did he get? 60-some goals? That one year where he
64.
scored all. That one year where he scored all those goals, he would regularly. He probably did it between 5 and 10 times that season. At least I'm going to say 5 times, where he would charge in fast to the offensive zone, and be coming in so fast that a shot that for most players wouldn't be dangerous became a grade A shot for him, and a real threat to score, like kind of a high outside-ish shot. This one was kind of a little bit inside the dot, kind of parallel with the face-off dot, a bit inside. So it was a fairly good position, but he didn't score that goal last year. He was unable to score that goal last year because he lacked. He was injured, and we don't exactly know what it was, but he wasn't able.
Shooting the puck with malice.
He wasn't able to get off that kind of shot when he was charging in with speed. Tonight he did it, And
twice.
Bruce,
Well, at that time, yeah.
yeah, that was a real announcement, I think, that McDavid is going to score some goals this year. We're going to see him back putting
Mhm.
in more goals. I don't know if it's going to be 64, but I think he might get 50. Seeing him
Mhm.
make that play, I think 50 is a real possibility for Connor McDavid this year. His second goal, the power play's been getting raked over, and he and Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, his rate of contributions to grade A shots in the power play so far this year before tonight's game was half of last season, what he had last season, and Nugent Hopkins is 1/3. So I was kind of speculating on what I'd like to see, and I just think like teams are playing McDavid really aggressively, and I think he's got to throw that in their face. I think he's got to take on defenders and try to beat them. And I think I saw a little bit of that tonight. Like he played with a different level of
Mhm.
intensity and aggression and tried to take some players one on one. I think it's the right move. I think he can do that. I don't think that works for every player.
No.
Most players can't deke. He can. And if there's players coming at him aggressively and trying to take him out, he's just got to skate and make his moves. And on that goal, it was an incredible passing combination. A couple, like there was two little back passes right at the blue line. One from McDavid, I think from McDavid to Bouchard, and then one from Bouchard to McDavid.
Yeah.
McDavid then puts it down low to Draisaitl, stabs it down low to Draisaitl, who does the give and go to McDavid, who's
With
streaking
the
into the
with the
slot. McDavid,
spinorama, that was great.
yeah, McDavid takes it
That's
right
yeah.
into the slot
Mhm.
and one shot, and then puts in the rebound. It was a brilliant goal and a solid signal that this power play is going to figure it out as well.
They had a great power play before that when they had um, Jordan Stahl broke his stick off the
Oh
face-off, and
yeah,
they had 75 seconds of pressure, and they had three
three grade A
grade A
shots.
at least, if not five alarm shots, and a fourth one where I think Hyman deflected it over the crossbar. That was
Yeah,
also a golden opportunity. So uh, they had, but on the power play, it was like two give and goes, and they were going nowhere for a while, and then Leon, I think he got a little pissed off, and he finally made a strong rush to gain the zone, and then the cycle started. It was McDavid to Bouchard to McDavid to Draisaitl to McDavid to net. And, those are the Oilers, I would say without question, they're three most skilled players. Hyman's a very, well-established scorer, but I'm not sure he's got skill on the level of any of that trio.
yeah,
So anyway,
yeah.
for
Good to see. Go
that
ahead.
goal, watch the animation at NHL.com. They have these goal
Yeah,
simulators now, and they just show where the players are moving, where the puck is on the ice, in the sort of seconds leading up to the goal, and just watch the movement from the Oilers power play. To me, I mean, we've talked about this for years, David. I think we talked about this the year the Oilers finished last in power play percentage in
what was wrong with it? Yeah,
2017-18.
we
What's
figured it
wrong with
out.
it? And we said, McDavid, he's got to get skating. He can be fine on the half wall. There's lots of guys that are fine on the half wall. What is it that sets him apart? Why? It's his skating. He should be skating in the zone. And Glenn Gouldson came in, and that more or less was a big change. And when McDavid's skating, that power play is mighty tough to stop. Even if the other guys are stationary, if
Yeah,
McDavid's moving, people react to him, and he gets the lane, has to only open up for a split second while he's cutting between two guys, and there's a 1 foot lane that if you time it perfectly and whiz the puck through there, you got Leon or Boosh hammering a drive on net.
yeah.
Um,
Free Connor McDavid, and a free Connor McDavid is a dangerous thing.
mm-hmm.
Bruce, we're moving on to our bad things, and I'll start it off because I'm going to do the first couple goals, and then you're going to take the overtime one. But actually, I think the bad things start significantly late in the third period. There's a rush that
Second
shouldn't
period?
amount to second period, excuse me, shouldn't amount to anything. The puck goes in the corner. Darnell's on his man, but Leon Draisaitl decides to come over and help, and he flies by the play just as the puck's going behind the net to his man, passes it up front, and there's two 5 alarm shots as a result of that. Um, Bad habit. by Leon of flying by instead of taking his man. The first goal comes after a huge save by Skinner, and you're going to be talking about that more. But the Oilers just completely got discombobulated after that massive save by Skinner. And Connor Brown, they have a good habit of being super aggressive on the PK, but it's got to be coordinated. And Brown went way out to the point after Skinner's big save. The puck went out to the point, and Brown got way out there, and it got passed right through him. He was just out of the play, and it was a 2-on-1, I think, on Nurse's side of the ice. Really no chance for Nurse, and Skinner got sucked to the side. I think he was out of position in the end on the goal itself, and Carolina scores because essentially Brown just was too aggressive. Now that is the habit of the Oilers PK, but it has to be done at the right moment, kind of in unison, and it wasn't. He was just freelancing, and it led to a 2-on-1 down low and a wide open look and blasted shot in the net.
I'll add Janmark to that. After Stu Skinner made the two great saves at 1924 and 22, and the crowd was roaring and the puck went behind the net and Janmark got it. He's got whatever it takes, man. Get that puck the hell out of your zone. After your goalie's made two saves like that and you throw a weak sauce clearing pass around the boards and the point man keeps it in, not good enough. They're not paying you for your offense.
That's true, Bruce.
I mean, the PK, which is now, 12 for 22 on the season, is it? 10 power play goals. Yeah, well, that's what they've been out for a lot of them. That's what they're paying those guys for. So I wasn't too happy with, and I'm a big fan of Janmark, but call to hockey, we try and call it as we see him, and if we like the guy or not, he makes a mistake. He made a mistake. Well, my man Janmark made a mistake, and I'm calling him.
The tying goal, Bruce, the tying goal was really frustrating. Really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
The Oilers have been playing pretty well after the first goal there by Carolina. They hadn't given up much, but man, Nugent Hopkins is in front of the opposition net, and the pucks, Carolina has possession behind their net, and they're kind of winding it up. And Nugent makes, I think, a reasonable decision at that point. He's going to switch off. But he doesn't hustle off, Bruce. He skates off and coasts in the end. If he had hustled on that play, everything might have been different. I do think he had, because Carolina's winding it up and a player's cranking around the net at high speed. Who would have been Nuge's man? I don't know. Someone would have had him. Anyway, Nuge changes off, and the guy who's this Carolina attacker who's now going at full speed, charging into the Oilers zone and getting a pass. Janmark has switched onto the ice after Nuge's slow line change. And Janmark is slow on the mark too, and he doesn't take that guy going to the net. At the same time, Travis Dermott has decided to move up ice to try to stop the play in the neutral zone. So instead of having two defensemen back, there's Nurse back with a forward, either Nuge or Nuge switching off, and then Janmark who comes on. And Dermott's out of the play. They pass right around Dermott like he's a pylon, and now they're charging in on net. And the pass, Nurse can't cut out the pass. It's a hard pass right through the crease and tucked in the net because Janmark has not stuck with his man. He's been slow coming off the bench, and he's been slow and recognizing the danger, and the danger man scores.
Yeah.
Again and again and again, Bruce, the danger man scores. How about that?
Happens a lot.
Sure does.
But when Buddy Robinson is beating you with a pass on the goal mouth, you're probably not doing everything right, would be my takeaway. Due respect to Buddy. He somehow carved an NHL career out of...
Was he the passer?
He was a passer.
So Nurse and Skinner, Anderson later cut out a very similar pass just like that. Or he got on Hyman and prevented him from scoring on a similar pass just like that, I think, in overtime. All right, Bruce, those are my bad. That's my run of bad things. Bad habits, just some bad plays by the forwards,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
not
Yeah.
happy. Go ahead. What's yours?
Well, not happy to have a 2-0 lead at home and come away without the 2 points, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they did protect the one, not too bad, but when they got into overtime, I mean, the first bad thing was they did everything right but couldn't beat Freddie Anderson, who was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
He made
Yeah.
just several just jaw-dropping saves, more or less in a row.
On McDavid,
Off of
Bouchard.
McDavid, yeah, the big guys. And but the way the game wound down, and I'm going to start. My bad thing starts with Coach Chris Knobloch, who,
Excuse me.
unless I missed something, and they called a timeout at some point during the game, they still had one in their back pocket. And I'll just stick with McDavid. His ice time in overtime, from 0 to 113, so a 73-second shift. They roll through a couple other combinations. He comes back out at 2:49. He stays out till 4:11, minute and 22 seconds. And then they get a whistle and a face-off in Oilers territory at 4:25. Like, he's been on the bench literally for 14 seconds, him and Draisaitl both, and Bouchard, I think. And after a 122 shift with a 113 shift before it on, the full ice, like those overtime shifts are potentially, when
A lot of
lots of
skating.
times they're not moving fast and other times it's just pell-mell, right? And I'm going, call your timeout. Like, of course you're going to use your best players at this point, but give them, call your
Carolina did, right?
30
They called.
earlier they did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Oilers had a chance to do the same and give their guys a little bit of extra gas, and they just didn't do it. And I'm thinking, well, these guys are going to be dragging butt, even though they technically are starting a new shift. They had, very short change, and they were dragging butt. And I think that's what led to the multiple mistakes that wound up costing Edmonton the hockey game. So
Yeah.
let's start with the coach. Missed your opportunity there, buddy. You had a timeout in your pocket and you left it there. What are you saving it for? Like, there's 35 seconds left in the damn game. Like, you're going to use it during the shootout? Anyway, frustrating. I'm a fan of the coach too, but I'm still going to call him as I see him. Anyway, so they get out there and they do create a good chance, and McDavid sets up Draisaitl in front of the Carolina net for a one-timer, and Anderson keeps that away. And then the puck goes to Carolina, and for whatever reason, Draisaitl decides, I'm going to hang around and hope for a turnover, or McDavid's going to get it and feed me for the win, or whatever. It's just like their brain just goes poof, offense, just 100%. Oh, we want to score the winner. Hey, what you want to do is you want to win the game. You score the winner now, or you win it in the shootout. But if you want to win it in the shootout, you got to get to the shootout.
Leon's a
So,
great white shark, Bruce. He can only go forward.
so
If he reverses, he dies.
So predictably, one pass and it's a wide open 2-on-1, and they come in and they execute, and Skinner makes a great stop, sort of like the first goal where Skinner's made a great save. All he needs is somebody to clear the damn puck out of the zone, and they can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Bouchard goes walkabout, out to the blue line trying to recover the puck, and McDavid is seeing, I don't know what, because he just abandons any semblance of defense. They thought, well, Bush is going to recover the puck and chip it to me the same way that Draisaitl thought it was going to get, and you got to either go get the thing or you got to cover somebody. So McDavid just took himself completely out of the play, and Bouchard got beaten. I mean, give Carolina, watch this replay. They made two great passes.
They sure did.
On the very final sequence, short passes. So the first one was to beat Bush inside the line, and then the second one was a 2-on-1 right across the ice that beat Draisaitl being the only man back. With how many seconds left? 6 seconds left?
5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really what you want, have no defenseman in the defensive zone, the other guys with the puck and extra guy, and they executed perfectly. 2 great passes, and Sebastian Aho put it under the crossbar, and poor Stu Skinner Like, I'm sure he's taking heat online because he's taking heat all the time now. He lost, loser. But he played, I thought, a whale of a game. But like 2 times, the team he made the saves, and then the team couldn't clear the rebound. And, bear down and get it done, or take a man, sort of fundamental hockey.
What's that called when your brain doesn't get enough oxygen? You're confused. Is that hypoxia? The decisions that were made.
Yeah,
the decisions made, like
Mhm.
McDavid's flyby at the blue line. Like there's a Carolina player charging up the ice. It's his man to come back check him, and he doesn't. And Bouchard, he was in a race for the puck with his man.
He tried to get there, but
his play was in some ways the most. He didn't stop the pass, right? So he failed, but he's at least on his man trying to make his play. It's McDavid with his flyby, and before that, Leon with his walkabout in the offensive end, leading to a wide open 2-on-1. Those are the decisions that come from really tired players, I think.
Yeah, 100%. This is why I'm bitching a bit about the timeout not being called. It's not just that, the physical tiredness, but, just sort of not mentally sharp enough. Sort of, we're out here to win this game. We're going to win it. Well, the whole point of the shootout is it's sort of a plan B. Plan B goes away when you're fishing the puck out of your net with 5 seconds on the clock.
Indeed. Bruce?
Many of my favorite players, and I like the coach, but
what's your number?
You gotta bring it. You gotta bring it against a great team like Carolina. My number is 0, and that is the number of points scored by Edmonton's top 6 right wingers so far this year. Zach Hyman and Victor Arvidsson, 7 games into the season, and they're both goose eggs right across the board. Has me pining for the days of Jesse Puljujarvi and Kyler Yamamoto. I'm sure at least one of them would have a point by now.
Well, Warren Fogle would have a few.
He's got no points. He's got no points in LA, so unless he got one tonight. But anyway, those guys like right wing, that's, you expect to get goals from that position. And those are, big time goal scorers and point getters. And
I like Skinner, Arvidsson, and Arvidsson and Draisaitl. Yeah.
Yeah, they were all right. And Skinner was good tonight. Skinner was really good. Man, he
digs.
He does. And he's a real gamer around the net.
Yeah.
And they made a good play in front of our net too, where he won a battle that he needed to win. And we need to see that, but Oilers aren't winning quite enough battles, and there was a ton of them in this game. Like I'm reluctant to be too critical because getting pucks through against those guys like that, Jacob Slavin, he gets a stick on everything. Shoot it, tips it into the netting, you pass it, he picks it off, takes lanes away, and and they just couldn't ever seem to execute that last one. When they did, Freddie Anderson was there. So credit to the other team. They were excellent, and they didn't bail on a 0-2 deficit on the road.
You got the one guy there. What's his name? Jalen Chatfield. He looks like he was there when the Red Sea parted, Bruce. Either that or in the Civil War. Like, man, that guy's a wild-looking dude.
Another 10 years, he'll look like Brent Burns.
That's right. Oh, yeah. They're in a competition. Well, good for them. They still got there.
No, I'm a fan of Carolina. And these are the, number 1 and number 2 teams in the league for shot percentage. Like, they generate the highest percentage of shots, these 2 teams. So to see them go head to head like that, and I think shots were 30-30 after regulation and 34-33 overall. So there was real give and take back and forth. But Carolina relentless, and I hope Edmonton picked up a tiny bit of that because they need more than they showed tonight.
I've liked their last 4 games, the Oilers, quite a bit, actually. Like, I haven't been their first 3 where they lost. That was terrible. They're playing not bad right now, and we'll see what happens. Bruce, my number is, and I was thinking this.
Well,
the Oilers held the lead against Nashville, and it was impressive. It was good work. I was thinking, can they do it again? And then someone was talking about Florida today, about Florida's record holding the lead last season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just was curious about what the actual numbers were for Florida. So in the regular season last year, Florida's numbers were when they had a lead after 2 periods, they had 35 wins, 0 regulation losses, and 3 overtime shootout losses. So only 3 times that they let the other team. Well, we don't. There might have been times they won in overtime and shootout, so I
Right.
can't say that. But they just had the 3 losses,
Mm-hmm.
none in regulation, and 35 wins. Now that is a team.
This is Edmonton
This is no.
last year?
This is
Oh,
Florida.
okay.
That is a team that was destined to win the cup last year, and they really did shut down the
Well,
Oilers in
they
terms of
sure
grade A
held a 2-1
shots.
lead in the third period of Game 7, didn't they?
Yeah, they knew how to hold a lead, and in the last couple of games, they really shut down the Oilers. I mean, in terms of grade A shots, and in the
Mm-hmm.
third period, and so I was thinking, okay, what do the Oilers have? It's not really. They're getting better at holding a lead, and I thought, oh, tonight is a big test.
Yep.
Tonight is a huge test, and they failed it, Bruce.
Yep.
And it's just it is a big part of the story of the McDavid Draisaitl era is poor defensive play, foiling being the Achilles heel of a otherwise often brilliant team. And we saw it again tonight. And it was bad habits, mental mistakes, breakdowns, things that didn't need to happen, that led to the team losing this game tonight. And it's fascinating to watch and to last year they solved it now and then. They went on stretches, including
Oh, yeah.
in January and in the playoffs, where they did really well on defense, where they figured it out for long stretches of time. They weren't perfect. They still had some lines and some players who were leaking a lot of grade A shots against at different times. They've got to figure this out this year. They really do. Like if they want to win the cup, this is a golden opportunity.
Yeah.
Draisaitl's not on his huge contract. Bouchard's not on his huge contract. McDavid's contract's going to get a lot more expensive. This is the year. This
Yeah.
is the year. And they have the talent on this team. Once Arvidsson gets going and Hyman gets going, Jeff Skinner gets going, Draisaitl gets going at even strength. Once these guys do all get going, this is a tremendous attacking team. They're gonna have to figure it out though, how to hold a lead in the third period, and that they should. I hope they're really hard on themselves because they need to be and they should be, and if they're not, they'll never get it and they'll never win the Stanley Cup. Um, and that's a hard hard pill to swallow, but it is on them. Like I know, like everyone likes to blame. Let's start at the top. Chiarelli, Holland, and now Stan Bowman's already getting blamed. So, and there is blame there, right? They didn't do
Mm-hmm.
a good enough job building this team, but there are also flaws on the team that are
Yep.
not necessarily the fault of the GM or anybody, but the players on the team. And these players, they can win the Stanley Cup this year. They do have a team good enough to win the cup, just like they did last year. And it's on them. They've got to figure it out. And it'll be interesting to see if they do. And
Mm-hmm.
I will be ecstatic if they do. But if they don't, I won't be surprised either if they don't.
Well, one of the things they're going to have to do is figure out that defensive unit. And
Yeah,
it took a couple of hits in the off season, and the 3 guys that they brought in collectively they look small,
they are
and
small.
collectively they look aphysical. I know Emerson threw a big hit last game, and I suppose they're all capable of it. But Dermott and Stetcher were losing battles tonight. Dermott got stranded in the neutral zone on the tying goal, and Stetcher had a couple of headaches behind his own net, and I think Skinner bailed him out a couple times. But they've got the one big pairing, and of course nobody's perfect. They're not perfect, but they're pretty darn good. And I think Nurse is playing okay, but not great. Like he's always going to make some mistakes because that's it's baked into his game. And you just hope the good outweighs the bad, and the sort of the stuff he does sort of by rote where he wins races and battles because he's big and fast and strong and athletic. It adds up to a net positive, but they've only got 3 D-men that are really.
Well, Kulak's good.
Kulak's third pairing, though. I mean, he's okay in the third pairing, but when they moved him up to the second pairing last year, he was.
Well, maybe they should try Kulak and Nurse together. If they're going to try Nurse on his
on the right
offside,
side,
yeah,
with
like
Kulak.
do that. Like,
And then you've got a third pairing that you're really going to have to try and shelter hard.
Yeah, they are small. The thing I like about them is they're smart. Like they read the game fairly well. There was 1 2-on-1, for instance, where it's when I think Svechnikov kind of got a fanned shot that became quite dangerous, and the rebound shot became even more dangerous. But Dermott made the right play. He took the danger man. He let Skinner take Svechnikov, and he took the guy who was coming into the slot, and that was the right play. So I see them all as at least above average hockey IQ on defense. I think Stetcher's quite a smart player, and I'd like to see them go a little bit, stick with Emberson. I know they're going to rotate them all, but I mean, Emberson's the unknown quantity. He's the one that could still step up. So yeah, I'd like to see Bruce try Kulak. If they're going to put Nurse on the right side, put Kulak up with them. Like, why not? And they're 2 big guys who can really skate, and it might work. I like Nurse on that side, on the other side. I thought he looked good. I thought that angle for the game generally, it might work for him, like in terms of making plays with the puck, passing the puck. His stick's on the inside of the ice now, and it's just slightly better angle for making passes and such. So, and he's a big, as you say, a big strong guy, so he can kind of handle the board play maybe on his backhand, which is the real challenge.
Right.
So, but you're right. Like they're missing Broberg, Ceci, and Desharnais. Now there's lots of critics of all of those players. They were still players, to say the least.
Well, those guys were 6'3", 6'4", and 6'7". And the 3 guys they brought in are like 6 feet or 6'1".
Well, and Stetcher's 5'9" or 5'8" or something.
Yeah, Stetcher's less than that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they lost a lot of size in that sort of that 3.
And they traded away 6'5" Mike Kesselring, and they are short on, and Marcus Niemelainen 6'7", 6'6" didn't work out. Josh Brown 6'4".
Yeah, well, we might see him at some point because there's just been precious little sort of physical play. There was, one that stood out at the end of the second period where all 3 Carolina forwards were on the ice, and I took a screen capture of it just because it was so rare to see. There were times where they were buzzing around, and I was just sort of going, my usual thing that I've been doing since I was 10 years old, knock somebody down. It just wasn't happening.
Be nice to have Philip Broberg on the team, Bruce, but I was just stewing about it last. I admit I was stewing about it last night, thinking, how did that happen? Like, what a cock up! And man, he was just ready to come into his own.
He set up Holloway for the other night. Holloway got the goal, and Broberg made this great couple of moves inside the blue line and get the puck deep, and he's sort of going, why us? Why us? Anyway.
But you know what? I came to the conclusion in the end, Bruce, he decided to leave. And that's where I'm leaving it. It was his choice. He wanted to go elsewhere. He made the right call for himself. That's life. That's the NHL. That's CBA. What's done is done. I'm dropping it. So.
Well, I'm going to leave some of it at the feet of management in terms of what they prioritized.
Holland and Jackson both.
It's on the record. Yeah.
Yeah, both of them. They both screwed up. All right, Bruce, what's the next game? Thursday?
They're playing Friday night. It's the Hall of Fame game against Pittsburgh Penguins. A little change of pace this year. The Hall of Fame ceremonies are going to be after the game and not before. So we'll get to see Sid and Gino and that group. I have a ticket to that game, but I also still positive, so I may or may not.
What night is that?
Friday night.
That's the next game then. Okay.
Friday
well, don't go to the autograph session, Bruce. And if anyone else has a cold tomorrow, Stay away. It
Oh,
seems
I'm
to me
not going to be
McDavid
going to
catches.
anything else other
Seems
than
to me
out
McDavid
for my
catches every
walk.
cold he comes within 100 miles of.
Yeah.
So just everybody, if you're sick, just do not go, and don't. Even if your kid's dying to go, don't do it. If you got even the hint of a scratch in the back of your throat, stay the f home.
So, I've got well, I'm not going
I
to
know
go.
you won't go.
So depends if my wife turns positive, then that'll lock me out for sure.
Oh
We're
yeah.
trying to
Well,
keep.
you're talking about the game. I'm just talking about the autograph session.
Oh right. Oh yeah. I'm doing any of that. Here's a bonus number 4. 4 is number of goals scored this year by Ryan McLeod,
I heard
Buffalo
that.
Sabres. Got his 4th of the year tonight in a 4-2 Sabres win over Dallas Stars. Go figure. He scored on Ottinger. Well, maybe. I don't know who was in that. So Ryan McLeod has more goals than any member of the Edmonton Oilers that traded him away because they didn't see
All
him.
right. There's always weird stats at the start of the game.
Yeah, I know. And I said to my wife, there's no way he would have 4 goals if he was still here. And I'm thinking,
Unlikely.
man, that rankles, when you got a guy out there that you just gave up on who's got more goals than anybody on your team, and they got rid
Could
of
be
him because he
worse.
couldn't score.
Holloway could have 4 goals too. Then
Yeah.
we'd be really feeling rotten.
Oh,
All right, Bruce, let's leave it there, man.
yeah, frustrating.
Thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.